Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Alright, so we are doing review Married at First Sight episode 8. And of course, I want to start off with my shout outs. Um, since my last video, I have a couple of new subscribers. And yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge you guys. So we have Classic Peach Jack, Kiana Washington, Yolanda Herbert, Carrie Dorsey, and Zoe KK. We also have some people who are not subscribed yet, but have left comments on my previous videos, and I just want to acknowledge you guys as well. I have Sheena Lena, Catherine Teresa, Sharon Allen, and Janelle Pierre. So, thank you guys for subscribing, and thank you to the others who have listened to my videos and left comments. I do appreciate it, and just wanted to show you guys some love. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with the obvious, Matt and Amber. Okay, so when we last left off with them, we saw that Matt had left and Amber had a total meltdown. She was very upset, which I think we all can agree she had every right to be upset. Called her dad. She was crying to him and just having a all out moment. Um, she did do a confessional where, she was stating that Matt act like he doesn't want her, like he doesn't want to be in this marriage. She's in it for love. She doesn't know why he's in it. Why did he even bother to go through this experiment, this project? Now, mind you, this was after she found his ring in the drawer. Okay, which yeah, would have anyone thinking what's up. Like, it's one thing you left, but then you took off your ring as well. So the next day comes, it is now 2 p.m. and Matt is now coming back home. So all this time he has not called her, he has not texted back, he's sent no smoke signals, nothing. He just come up in there and then he's like, "What's up?" Like, she's some dude, like she's just his college roommate or something. So Amber's sitting there and you can tell that she was still upset. She was crying, didn't even go to work, which in my book that's a no-no. Like, I'm not I'm not changing up my life because I'm pissed off at you. Now, I mean, now she works with kids, so I can understand if it's affecting her that much, you don't want to go and be around, your kids, and you're not there because they can sense it and you just don't want that vibe rubbing off on them. So I understand it. And I'm also a firm believer, do not bring your personal issues to work. When you come to work, it is time to do your job, not sulk and be upset and take it out on other people. So I get it. Okay, moving on. So she's sitting there in a chair. He comes in, and it's like as soon as he walked in that door, she had this smirk on her face, like every tear, anger, sadness, whatever emotion she was feeling previously, it just all went out the window because he was home. Like, you could just see it all over her face. She just had this smirk. And she's like, well, hello. And he's just so. Matt is a hot mess. He is just so nonchalant. Just no type of emotions, nothing. He comes in, he sits down, and he's just nodding his head like, okay, are you going to say something? And then she goes into well, I'm upset, and basically, what's up? Like, I don't understand. Why would you, leave, and you didn't call me, you didn't return my calls, you didn't return my texts, you just disappeared. So he comes with this whole, oh, well, I just, left, and I had every intention of coming back and watching the game. And I just got caught up with my friends and ended up crashing on one of their couches. This is what me and my boys do. And I wasn't even thinking. So, yeah. Like, that's that. And her whole thing was, okay, well, I don't care about you going out, hanging with your friends to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but, you know, I also noticed that you left your ring. You took your ring off. And he had this look like, damn, okay. And then he comes with this whole, oh, well, I was going to work out. I was going to go work out, so I took my ring off. What? And his tone, it was almost like I was waiting for him to say, well, what had happened was, because that's just how, that's just how his whole tone was. So my thing is, which one is it, Matt? Now, you saying that you were going out, and while you were out, you got caught up with your friends, and one thing led to another. You crashed on their couch, and okay, then you came back home. So, if you were going to work out, I mean, do you just go and work out and keep on those same sweaty, stinky clothes and go hang out? You don't take a change of clothes. You don't take something, to take a shower in, and like help me out with that, because yeah, I'm not. That's not adding up for me. And aside from all of that, so here I am thinking that they had some type of argument, like an actual argument that she can tie back to and say, okay, this is why he left. So she's just in the dark. Like, I don't know why he left. And he didn't even say, okay, well, I was pissed off and I left. No, he came with, oh, I just decided to go out for a while and then come back. What? Which really doesn't make sense. So, my thing is this. Okay, you left. Yeah, it's messed up either way. But why did you not call her back? Why did you not call her at all? Why did you not return her text? And I'm sorry, but why are you just coming back at 2 p.m.? 2 p.m., that is breakfast, lunch, and two snacks. Okay, so you done already had a half a day has already gone by, where now you should be planning on what's for dinner. And you just now dragging your butt in the house? Excuse me? With no excuse, no good excuse whatsoever. So, who are these friends that either don't work like you or work at night? Because who house were you at where when they got up to go to work in the morning, you was still laying on their couch and you locked the door behind you and showed up at your house at 2 o'clock p.m.? See, and the thing is, it was almost like Matt was surprised that it was that easy to get over on Amber. It's almost like he was expecting, because up until this point, she's been very mild mannered. She's all over Matt. She's so smitten by him that he could do no wrong, right? But I think we all can agree that this situation would have taken the average person out of their reserved, mild mannered comfort zone, and they would have at least raised their voice at some point. Okay. I think he was expecting that. And in regards to that, now, ladies, Now we know. Now maybe you personally have not done this, but we've all seen, either we've done it ourselves or we have seen, when a woman is fed up, pissed off, upset, whatever you want to call it. Once we get started, okay, once we are to that point and we start fussing and we start telling you about yourself, 9 times out of 10, by the end of that conversation, the only person who was able to talk was that female. Okay, we got our point across. Conversation that you wouldn't even be able to get a word in inchwise. And I honestly think Matt thought that Amber was going to be hysterical. She was going to be just going, crying hysterical, and all he was going to have to do was nod, give her a hug, pat her on the head, freak her up, and that'd be the end of that. Matt had no intention of offering any type of explanation to Amber, and you can tell by the responses he put absolutely no effort into it. No, he thought that he was going to be consoling her and then just say sorry and that'd be the end of that. But no, she asked questions, which I mean wasn't like pressing questions, but he offered BS answers. And then what happened? She's doing her little confessionals like, oh well, he apologized and this was the best conversation we've had. Our communication was great. And what? So they're just sitting there and he's just nodding his head like, okay, what's next? All right. And then she goes, okay, so I mean, can I get a hug? Now usually that's what the guys say, and they want to just diffuse the situation. I'm like, all right, baby, come here and give me a hug. No, it was her. So of course he's excited, like, oh dang, conversation over. This didn't take much effort. She wants a hug. I know what's next. And so he goes into, oh yeah, you can get a hug. I mean, you can get something else too, or is that all you want, or something along those lines. And she go jumping on him like a little puppy dog. And next thing you know, they're walking off into the bedroom. And yeah, you can put two and two together. So they have a meeting with Dr. Pepper, and yeah. Now, I have a little issue with Dr. Pepper. I feel like she contradicted herself just a little bit. When she sat down and talked to, when it was just Amber, and she was telling Amber how she felt about the situation, about Matt leaving and all of that. And then Amber goes into, oh, well, he apologized. I don't want him to get in trouble. Protecting him. Like, this dude did the ultimate disrespect, totally disregarded your feelings, just didn't care. And the first thing that pops in your head is, I must defend him. Dr. Pepper is talking about him and talking about how she's pissed off at him. No, 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 Dr. Pepper. It's okay. It's okay. He apologized. I don't want him to get in trouble. What? Okay. So Dr. Pepper, she expressed how she felt about it. And then she goes into this whole, well, Matt basically saying he doesn't know any better, or Matt wasn't taught how to behave in a relationship. He doesn't understand the concept of we versus me. He's only thinking about himself. He's not thinking about how his actions affect another person. And we need to guide him with that and teach him that, okay, listen, first of all, what man is what, 33? This is not his first relationship. Okay. And I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with them being married or him being in a relationship. This is about common courtesy. This is about having a conscience. This is about respect. Regardless if they're married, dating, I don't care if it was his sister and they lived together. You were gone for hours. And even though it wasn't literally 24 hours, in our world, if you're gone overnight and you coming back and it's after 12 noon, that's 24 hours to us. Okay? The fact that even if he was absent minded and was just like, whatever, I'm going to hang out with my friends, the fact that you were gone overnight and did not bother to call her to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and crash on my boy's couch. The fact that you turned your ringer off and didn't answer her calls, you didn't respond to her texts, you did nothing. No smoke signals, nothing. That has nothing to do with relationships and all of that. That has nothing to do with that. That's called human decency. Okay? And let's keep it real. Matt knows Amber's issues. He's well aware. Well aware. And he made the conscious decision to stay out all night, ignoring her, knowing what it was going to do to her, knowing she has abandonment issues. He didn't care. It's almost like he's doing everything possible to push her away. You know, he doesn't want to just up and leave the show because he's getting paid. But at the end of the experiment, it's almost like he doesn't want to look like the bad guy and say, I want a divorce. He wants her to say, he wants her to be the one to shut it down. So he's just, I don't know. It's because it's hard for me to believe that he is just this stupid and this callous. Okay, so this is where the contradiction come in to me. So she goes into this whole, well, you know, he doesn't know any better. We got to teach him. We have to guide him, whatever. So then when Amber is like, yeah, you know, he apologized. I don't want him to get in trouble, whatever. Then Dr. Pepper goes into, okay, but I feel like you're not holding him accountable. I feel like, you know, you have low self-esteem. I feel like you know, you deserve better, and you have to say to yourself that you're worth more, you deserve more, you're more than enough, and basically you're putting up with all of Matt's BS. So I'm like, wait a minute, Dr. Pepper. Now, just a few minutes ago, you were excusing his behavior by saying he's not used to being in relationships. We need to teach him and guide him to know the difference between we and me, and how he needs to communicate. And, you know, this is something that he's lacking. So we need to help him along the way. Now, which one is it? Because you can't say these are the reasons for his behavior, but then turn around and say you need to chastise him for that behavior. Because if you're saying he doesn't know any better, how can she get on him about it? Right? Shouldn't she be coddling him and guiding him on how to be a freaking decent human being? Because that's all it takes. That's all it takes to pick up the phone, whether you're calling or you're answering. So anyway, so Amber's just sitting there looking like a deer in headlights, like, okay, I'm pretty sure she was confused because, yeah, you're saying two different things. And it also took me back to when they met with Pastor Cal. When they met with Pastor Cal, and he was saying how he was telling Matt, you need to put down your guards, you need to put your pride aside, um, and understand and see that you have a wife who is willing to support you. You know, she's willing to support your dreams as well as support you guys financially until you're able to get yourself together and get your business off the ground. That just reminded me of that conversation. And in both of those conversations with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, Matt is coming off as, oh, he's, you know, he doesn't know any better and we have to support him and we have to take care of him. BS. Okay, and that's half the problem with a lot of guys. They are coddled. Is the excuses. Listen, if you do not know how to, once again, it's not even about relationships, it's about common courtesy and human decency and just being respectful and mindful and considerate of someone else's feelings. And if you have not grasped that at that age, you have absolutely no business getting married. No business getting married. And he sits up there and he's like, yeah, yeah, I know I need to work on that. Dude, you need to work on that before you decide to get legally married to someone. Like, come on. That's basics. We're not even talking about other things you should do in a relationship. We're not even talking about giving compliments and you know being considerate as far as like, well, honey, what do you want to eat? We're not even talking about stuff like that, which is basics too. We're just talking about taking into consideration someone else's feelings. That comes with age, pretty much. And he's what, 30 or 33, and he doesn't know that yet? Okay. And then we're giving it excuses, and we're, nah. Mm-mm. So then Dr. Pepper sits down with Matt and she's like, I want to know more about your family life because I want to understand basically how you were raised and how you didn't know that what you did was wrong. Like, were you taught to be considerate of other people's feelings? Like, tell me about your life. Now, y'all, I'm going to need y'all to help me with this one. Real talk. So Matt goes into, I've been on my own since I was 16. I've been hopping from friend house to friend house, this person's couch to that person's couch. I went to a boarding school. I was on my own. I left home and has been on my own since I was 16. Okay, this is where I'm confused. When Matt first came on the show, was introduced, and he talked a little bit about his home life, Matt made it seem like, this is, at least this is how I got it, made it seem like he was close to his parents. He communicated with them every day up until they divorced, what, a couple of years ago, which would make him a grown man. He's what, 33 right now. So his parents recently divorced, right? And he hasn't been right ever since, and he hasn't talked to them. Help me understand that. So, where were your parents? Where was this close relationship? Where was this? You talked to them every day when you were 16 and ran away from home. You left home and it wasn't like you left home and you had a job in your own place. He admitted that he was living from one person's house to the next. Like, he pretty much was homeless. So I need answers, man. So was it you had a rough home life and that's why you left and you didn't talk to you? Because I'm trying to figure out, your parents didn't say, hey, come home. Your parents were still together and you couldn't live with them. Like, something is not adding up there. Something's not adding up. And yeah, it's not adding up. So help me. Am I missing something, you guys? Was something revealed early on I forgot about? Because I really want to understand that, because it seemed like he's giving a different story. So please, if I'm off track with that, let me know. Anyway, so he's just sitting there looking stupid. Dr. Pepper is like, you know who you married to. You know the issues that she has with abandonment, and yet you do the worst thing you could possibly do, and you left. And it's not only did you leave, it's the way you left. You know. So he's all like, yeah, yeah, um, I realize that now, and I'm gonna do better, and all of that crap. And it's like, and then he goes into this whole, he felt like he was chastised as a little kid. Dude, because your behavior was that of a little kid. Like, come on now. How dare you think you can do what you want to do and no one should have a problem with it? Really? So you had a problem with Dr. Pepper calling you out on your behavior? Okay. So anyway, he's saying that he understands and he'll do better and he's still learning and all of that foolishness, and all is well basically with them. All right, so moving on. Oh, and then they did their little fishbowl questionnaire Q&A, and nah, it was kind of boring. Nothing was learned from that to me. Um, it was pretty mild, so I don't really have much to say on that. Oh, I did want to say, when Amber was doing her confessional and she mentioned her abandonment issues, and she was like, all this I've gone through in my childhood, pretty much she's still dealing with it, and she feels like maybe she's taking it out on Matt. Maybe she's putting unrealistic expectations on him because of it. Then she goes and says, because he has not given her, what did she say? He has not given her any reason to feel like he would just up and leave her at any given moment. Um, Excuse me. That's exactly what he did, Amber. Just because he came back home, he still left you. We're not talking about he went to the corner store, he went to Walmart, he went to get some gas. No, this dude took off his ring and he left. And he left overnight and came back after 12 o'clock. Okay, so he totally disregarded you. Totally disregarded you. So it's like, what is she thinking? Because one minute she says he act like he doesn't want to be married. He act like he doesn't want her, like he care, and like he cares about her feelings. But then she turns around and is like, well, he hasn't shown me that he doesn't care or that he would just up and leave. So I don't know. Lord, I don't know. But anyway, all right, moving on from them, let's talk about Deanna and Greg. So they finally did it. They consummated the marriage, and Greg is he's just as giddy. So yeah, so he got some birthday sex. Now I think we were kind of, the way she was acting. It was, I'm surprised and then I'm not surprised, because she was kind of giving him, she was a little flirty and kind of giving him the, yeah, it may go down. So I'm not really surprised that it went down. Okay. Um, but they haven't done anything since then because she's been sick. And it's funny because I've had conversation with a couple of people about that, and so the consensus is she's lying about being sick because she doesn't want to. She wants to slow that down, or don't want it to be where, all right, now we're about to get into the rhythm of having sex on the regular. I don't know about that. Although I was a bit confused, like, you have bubble guts, but you're eating McDonald's. Like, yeah. When you're coming off of bubble guts, the last thing you want to be putting in your system is some greasy McDonald's food. Okay? You need crackers and ginger ale, some Imodium and Pepto Bismol, and lay your butt down somewhere. But okay. Anyway, um, yeah, so they had sex, and Greg, he was excited about that, and they seem to be connecting. I don't really see much of an issue. I like the way, he was taking care of her, and Although, Deanna, you need to work on your communication, sweetheart. Because when he came back with the medicine and he's like, yeah, I picked this up for you. And she's like, oh, they didn't have any pills in the pill form. And he was like, well, I didn't know that. Like you didn't tell me that you were a pill popper. He went and got what he thought will work for her. So yeah, she needs to work on communication. He cannot read your mind. He doesn't know. Okay. So they had their little game where they had the deck of cards, and each card meant a different action, whether it be hugging, kissing, holding hands. What was the other one? Compliments. So they're playing the game. They seem flirty into each other. I mean, this is like a totally different side of Deanna that we're seeing. Like this girl did a whole 360, and I will say it's refreshing to see. It really is, because it's one thing to react to a person's actions and you're giving attitude, but it was like she was giving attitude in the beginning for no reason at all. Like it just wasn't warranted. So to see her actually be nice, actually say kind, loving words, to be affectionate and flirty and just be a decent human being, it's refreshing to see, and I'm feeling it. Okay. So part of their their conversation. So when he was talking about when he asked her about the night that they were intimate, and he said, well, what was it like? What got you to that point where you were ready to make that take that next step? And she said, seeing you with your friends, seeing that different side of you, basically turned her on. And I can get that. Deanna, she, I guess because Greg was so overwhelming as far as, affection, compliments, whatever. Cause didn't she say she like it when a guy ignores her? Like that's what turns her on. I mean, hey, it works for some people, whatever. So I think seeing him in his environment with his boys and seeing him, I don't know, whatever they were talking about. Okay, it turned her on. That in the house. But anyway, um, so yeah, so that impressed her, and she just felt like, all right, I'm feeling him. He's everything he said he was. I see him hanging with his boys. He about to get it. Okay. So then he goes into, okay, so that's good. Now, what is it going to take for it to happen again? Like, am I going to have to start bringing my boys over? And she was just like, basically, calm down. Like, there's just be yourself. Like, there's no list. And he's like, so, you're like, just give me the list. She's like, there's no list. Like, just be yourself. And I have to agree with her on that. Well, I agree with both of them, because he made a comment. He said, well, you're not very open with your feelings. So I don't know what to do, what not to do. So I get that, because again, she does need to open up more and let him know. Now, she had no problem telling him she didn't like all those compliments, but at the same time, it's kind of like trial and error. I mean, this is not your first time having sex, Greg. So the women that you've been with before, you know what turned them on. So I mean, it's going to be trial and error. And trust and believe, I'm pretty sure if you do something she doesn't like, she'll let you know. But I get the whole what Deanna was saying. Basically, she wants it to be authentic. She wants it to be natural. Everything doesn't have to be so strategically planned. Like Greg is almost like, he treats every situation like a math equation. It's like, okay, if you do this, then I'll do this, and then we can do this. It's like, dude, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like that, because then you start taking away, the spontaneity of it, the the pleasure out of it because it's so methodically planned, and everything doesn't have, just let it happen naturally. Start, if she likes massages, start massaging her back. Bring that hand on down from the shoulders, bring it down to the booty, and then hey, go from there. She will let you know if she likes it or not. Massage her feet. Start at her feet. Go up her legs. Go up to the thighs. Kiss her on her belly. I mean, Greg, come on now. Do we need to have a class on how to do this? Just go with the flow. Go with the flow. Try little subtle things and you go there. But I agree with her. There's no list. And if she had a list of things that she liked, she doesn't want to list them out and say, hey, okay, I want this, and this. Just make a mental checklist as you're doing things and you see her reaction. Just make a mental list of that and say, hey, all right, I got it when I did this. She liked that, and go from there. I just think they need to communicate more. I think Greg needs to calm down a bit and go with the flow, and Deanna needs to communicate more, and I think they'll be okay. Um, but their little game that they did with the cars, like where I was going with it, with the whole certain cars mean certain things, and when it landed on for the compliments, I like that. She told him, what she liked about him. It was real cute, and he was so happy. Like you can tell, it doesn't take a lot to please him. He was really happy with everything that she said, and it really touched him when the last thing that she said, when she loved that he has a big heart, because I feel like he he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and he's really committed to this process, and the fact that she is acknowledging that, I think, meant more to him than anything. I mean, he said, that really touched him. So of course he was ready to get things popping, but yeah. So I think they're gonna be good. I'm actually feeling them now. All right. So who do we have? Let's do Jamie and Liz. Okay. So when we last saw them, they had their big blow up. Liz hit below the belt and was like, basic Caucasian sex, bam bam done. They both just totally went left, okay, with their argument. Jamie leaves, of course, so he's back home now, and they go for a walk. So Liz is basically saying that she wants them to pause as far as having sex and just focus on their communication skills with each other, focus on the relationship part of their marriage and not so much on the sexual part. And then she also reveals that she has a UTI, a urinary tract infection. So, okay, we need to chill because we need to focus on other aspects of our marriage, and I also need to heal, basically. Um, and of course, Jamie doesn't like that. Now, he's saying it makes him feel undesirable. You know, it's hard for him to be laying next to her and knowing that, she's completely cut him off. And according to Liz, it bothers him to the point where when they were walking with the dogs and she told him this, he started dragging the puppies. Okay. And he was taking it out on the dogs. Well, we all know pet parents are serious about their animals. They're just like their children. So that, of course, really bothered her. And they come back home, pretty much silent treatment. And then you could just see her fuming. And then she's like, "Look, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go home. I need some time away from you." And this is after they met with Dr. Pepper, and I'm jumping ahead of myself, so let me go back to that. Let me go to that. They meet with Dr. Pepper, who was discussing basically how they treat each other, and it's like, look, you both are disrespectful. You both are not hearing each other. You know, and leaving should be the last resort. You shouldn't do that. If you have to go in another room to cool off, do that. But leaving out can actually make the situation worse. Okay, that's pretty much all she said in a nutshell. So going back to where I left off, um, so yeah, so Liz is like, I'm leaving. I need space away from you. Whatever. Like, I'm pissed off that you are not hearing what I'm saying. You're not respecting my feelings, and now you're taking it out on my babies, my dogs. So Jamie, in his usual fashion, first of all, Jamie is he has mastered the art of gaslighting. Okay, he's so smug, like he's just pouring his drink, and he's like, "Okay, so what? You going back to get some things and coming back? What are you doing? You leaving?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm going back to my place. I'm gonna stay there because like I'm over this right now, and I don't want to be around you." And then he does this little smirk, and he's like, "Okay, well, that's not what Dr. Pepper said. She was like, we shouldn't leave. If you don't want to talk, then we need to go in separate rooms, but you shouldn't leave." And Liz is like, "I don't care if everybody can kiss my butt. I'm leaving." So he goes and lays down on the couch. The poor little puppies that Liz said he just finished dragging, they all up on him, loving on him. Like, these dogs are not loyal, okay? They are loving the husbands. So the puppies are laying all on him. And Liz is pissed. She got her bag. She ready to go. The dogs haven't budged. They staying there with Jamie like, "All right, Liz, we see you when you get back." And he's like, "Well, if you're leaving, we're done." And that's what I mean by that, playing those mental games with her. First of all, you left. Okay, so we're not even talking about the conversation with Dr. Pepper and her talking about not leaving and all of that. Okay, you can have all of these tools and ideas of how to deal with arguments or whatnot, but when you're in that moment and you're like, "Hey, I just need some time apart," whatever. He did it. So for him to do it and then turn around and is like, "Oh, well, if you leave, then we're done." It's like, really? And that's what I mean by he plays these mental games. So he pretty much was calling her bluff, right? So she's sitting there and she was like, "No, I just want time away from you. I'm not saying we're done. That's not what this means." And he's like, "No, if you leave and walk out that door, we are done. It's over." So then they go back and forth, and he was like, "If you don't want to be around me, um we can just sleep in separate rooms. We could just be in separate rooms." So she's like, "Okay, well, you stay out here. I'm going in the room. Don't you come in here bothering me. Like, just leave me alone. Let me be by myself right now." And him being nitpicky, "Oh, well, I am going to have to come in there and brush my teeth." Like, dude, really? And what did she do? She went and got his toothbrush and his toothpaste and brought it right back out. It was like, "Here you go. Do not come in this room. Sleep in your shorts like you've been doing." Liz is so over it. Because, first of all, she's pissed that he called her bluff. Because Liz was ready to walk out that door. Now, we all know she wasn't going to be gone forever. We knew she was coming back. He knew she was coming back. But he's playing the mind games with her. And he called her out on it. And her butt stayed. So she was pissed off already. And then she was pissed probably because her dogs are all over Jamie. And then to top it all off, she's staying. He pretty much like manipulated her into staying, so she's hot. Okay. So the next morning she gets up, she comes in there and she's dressed and she's like got her bag. She's like, I'm leaving. And of course he's looking like, okay, we just had this conversation. You didn't leave last night. You stayed. Like, why are you still hell bent on leaving? And so they had their talk, and he ended up, you know, talking to her, talking into staying. She comes over, she's laying on him, the dogs are laying on them, and they kiss, they make up. Okay. All right. So they have their uh couple game situation where they're or were they looking at the post-it notes or something that they wrote down with questions, and nothing really stood out with them except for Liz dancing. Lord, Liz looked like she was having convulsions. Like, I like Liz. She's crazy, but yeah, her whole little sexy dance was hilarious. Um, but they did have their what was it? A moon circle. So when they had their little moon circle, and Liz was trying to, explain to Jamie what it was and what it does and all of that, I actually liked that interaction with them. I liked it because he was open to learning from her. He was listening to her, and it was just an overall calm and peaceful interaction. Because he's so quick to down her and to, it's like he likes her energy, he likes the sex, but it's almost like you kind of got that he didn't really respect her, if you will. So when he was doing his confessional and he was saying that, he really liked um the experience, and her talking about the moon circle, and um he was impressed, and he was of course turned on because he's just a freaking sex addict. But yeah, I like that little moment with them. Yeah. So Jamie and Liz, I think, are gonna end up staying together, and they're just gonna live in their dysfunction. I really do. Um. So who are we? Iris and Keith. We're gonna round it out with them. Um. Theirs was kind of mellow. We learned that Keith's grandmother did pass away, and he talked about him getting the phone call and learning of her passing, and he did a little reflection, just talking about how close they were, and that he was happy that she was able to come to his wedding, that she was able to meet Iris. That meant a lot to him for her to see that. And he thanked Iris for being there for him, supporting him through this time and all of that good stuff. So they have their game where they have the fishbowl game as well, and of course a lot of the questions were around sex. And okay, now this is nothing new. On all the seasons, all the shows, they do bring up sex a lot. Number one, because it is a part of marriage. So I get it that Iris is a virgin, but at the same time, these are the games that they play. The fishbowl, Q&A, all of that's nothing new. It's like they do the same things with all the couples every season. So it's nothing new. So for her to be in her feelings about the questions, I mean, I first of all, she's entitled to feel what she feels. All right. Just because now, when I was a virgin, I didn't get offended by the sex talk, or if I'm dating someone and he's asking questions or he's bringing up sex, I didn't feel that way. It didn't resort me to tears. I didn't deal with all those emotions. But that's just me. You know what I mean? That's just me. She's entitled to feel the way she feels. I'm not knocking that at all. I think my issue with her is, you've done some sexual things. Now what those things are, we don't know. It's none of our business, whatever. Um but it's just puzzling to me how uncomfortable she is. And it's to the point where Keith is picking up on that. He's like, we can't even have a conversation. Like, he feels like back in elementary school having conversations about sex. Whether you're a virgin or not, you should be able to have a grown up and adult conversation about intimacy without it resorting you to tears, without you stumbling and just acting like, I don't know. I don't know if it's she doesn't want to have those in-depth conversations on TV and her dad is watching. Like, I'm trying to understand where all of this is coming from. Okay? But at the same time, Iris, you are on a TV show. Everybody's watching. Your main identity on this show is being a virgin, which is related to sex or their lack thereof. So it's going to be discussed. And again, you're coming on a television show. So I'm just confused there. But anyway, so they have their little game with the fishbowl and the questions and whatnot. And so Keith pulls out one of the little strips of paper and it says, or it asks, what is your favorite position and why? And Lord, I knew he was going to say doggy style. I knew it. Okay. Honestly, I think that's all men' favorite position. I just think it is. And so when he pulled it out and he read it, my husband and I were watching this together, and I just fell out laughing. I was like, I bet you he's going to say doggy style. And my husband was like, I know he's going to say doggy style. So it was funny because when he said it, oh my God, the look on Iris' face, Lord, you could have just, it's like she wanted to just hide. She drops her head and she's like, oh God. And then he reads the second part and he's like, you want to know why? She was like, no. And you know what? I have to say, I did not want him to get into why. I don't know, y'all. I was like, leave it at that. I was like, leave it at that. I don't even want to know, Key. Like, don't even go there. Just say that's your favorite position and let's keep it moving. But even though she has not had intercourse, I just felt like she could have, like, when she answered it, she was like, not applicable. So, and we know why. And it was funny, I just feel like it doesn't have to be this emotional, difficult, taboo thing to talk about. You can spin it. Like when she made that, when she said that, it was funny. I mean, and then the part where it seemed like she really started getting uncomfortable was, I think when he pulled out one of the papers and it said, um how would you initiate sex, I think it was. And she was like, I wouldn't even know how to begin to initiate. Now again, Iris has done some things, so those things pretty much, I mean, like, without knowing details, that's pretty much foreplay. So that's how you get started. That's how you initiate it. So whether the guy has initiated it or she initiated it, I mean, that's pretty much what you do. So And not that I would expect her to give details as to, okay, well, but again, she could have just joked and played it off without getting so uptight about it. And I think Keith would have been okay. I mean, the guy is already like, listen, I know she's a virgin. I'm being patient. I'm going at her pace. However way she want to handle it, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm following her lead. So I think if she just would have been a little lighthearted about it and just kind of like joked and let it go, I think he would have been okay with that. I think he was bothered and he later told her that he was concerned. So, when he said he just felt like whenever they have the conversation, he feels like he's in elementary school talking about it. And again, just because you are a virgin doesn't mean you cannot have these conversations. Number one, how are you going to learn if you're not having a conversation? Um, just like people who have had sex, some of them still don't know how to have a conversation. Okay, so it's not about experience; it's just about maturity, really. Um, so they have dinner. So Keith realizes that, okay, she's very uncomfortable with these questions. And I like the fact that he is in tune with her reactions and he knows how to adjust. He saw that she was uncomfortable with it, and I felt like even when he gave his answer with doggy style, he paused for a good little while, like he's thinking about how do I respond, how do I answer this without number one offending her, without coming off disrespectful. So he thinks. It comes off like he thinks before he speaks because he is considering her feelings, which is a good thing. At the same time, his feelings need to be taken into consideration as well. Keith is not a virgin, okay? And not to say that she needs to give in or do whatever to accommodate him. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying unless he signed up and put down on his application that he did not mind marrying a virgin, we need to take into consideration this is a lot for him. He's doing the most as far as compromising in this situation. And I think he's doing a pretty good job at it. But at the same time, you know, we need to consider his feelings. So they go out to dinner and he brings up, I think it was sexual maturity. He was like, how would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And she was like a 6.5. And you can tell once again he's disappointed because, again, even if you're not having sex, the fact that your maturity level as far as discussing it, you know. So um she then comes and says, okay, how how does my virginity, how does that play into your decision to stay married? At the end of all of this, stay with me. And his response was, it's a concern. And I like the fact that he was honest. Those are his honest, true feelings. It is a concern because I don't think he has a problem with the fact that they're not having sex now. I think he's very patient. He's understanding. He's respecting her boundaries. I think he's okay with not having sex right now. However, I think his concern is after they decide to stay together. Okay, if I decide to stay with her, is she going to finally let her guards down and realize this dude is here to stay? We are married. I can now let my guards down and we can have sex. Or is she still going to be on this, oh, I'm still trying to learn you. Oh, I'm not ready yet. Like that's the concern. I guess he in his mind is how long are we gonna wait. So I don't think right now is an issue for him. I think he's thinking about after the 8 weeks is up. Are we going to move on to the next level, or are we still going to be, touching hands, holding hands, and kissing, and having these awkward conversations about being intimate? So then Iris comes with, when she does her confessional, and she's like, I don't want it to be where I'm giving it up to him in order for him to stay. I totally understand and I agree with her on that. So it's a situation where I want him to stay because he really wants to, he's really feeling me, not because I am giving it up to him. And then his stance is, I'm in it. I like her. I want to be here. However, I don't want it to be where we've gone through all of this. I made the commitment. I've shown her that I'm commitment. I've shown her that I'm understanding. I've shown her that I'm patient and I'm willing to wait. And then after the experiment, she's still treating me like we're in third grade, kissing in the coat closet. So I see both sides of it. And I just hope that they can come to some type of common ground and they can work that out. Um yeah, so that's it, you guys. That is my take on everything. Um Yeah. Guys, now I'm gonna need to hear from y'all. I really want to know what you guys think about Amber and Matt's situation now that he's home and he's given his whole spill on what happened. I want to know what you guys think about the fact that Greg and Deanna has now had sex. Just I want to hear from you guys because this episode was really interesting. And it was good. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me. And until next time, take care.